What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. Picture this. You're Marshall Goldsmith, one of the world's top executive coaches, and your phone rings. It's the CEO of a Fortune 100 company, and he sounds troubled. "Marshall," he begins, "I need to talk to you about someone." He starts painting a picture of this executive. This guy runs a major division for us. Quarter after quarter, he crushes his numbers. Every single time. You're thinking, okay, sounds like a rock star. The CEO keeps going. He's young, brilliant, driven, ethical, entrepreneurial, creative, charismatic. The compliments just keep flowing. But you can feel it coming, can't you? That inevitable but hanging in the air? And there it is. He's also the most arrogant, stubborn jerk you'll ever meet. The CEO explains the dilemma. Their whole company runs on teamwork, but this guy? He burns bridges like it's an Olympic sport. Sure, he delivers results, but he leaves behind a wasteland of bruised egos and resentment. "I'm giving him 12 months to turn it around," the CEO says, "or he's done. But honestly, if we could fix this guy, he'd be worth a fortune to us." That call holds a truth that applies to every single one of us, whether we're running a company, teaching a classroom, or just trying to be better at life. Here's the paradox. The very qualities that got you where you are today, your drive, your smarts, your relentless ambition, are often the exact things blocking your path forward. Today we're exploring one of the most eye-opening business books ever written. What Got You Here Won't Get You There. This isn't just another self-help manual. It's more like holding up a mirror to see the invisible habits that successful people carry around, like invisible backpacks full of rocks. Marshall Goldsmith has coached leaders at Ford, Goldman Sachs, Toyota, and dozens of other giants. He's seen up close what separates the truly great from the almost great. And here's what he discovered. For successful people, getting to the next level isn't about learning new skills. It's about unlearning old behaviors. So here's what I promise you. By the end of our time together, you'll spot the subtle, nearly invisible habits that might be holding you back. More importantly, you'll have a clear, practical roadmap for change. This isn't about transforming into someone else. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are. Let's dive in. Ever seen those insurance company ads? There's a famous one showing a massive grizzly bear in a rushing stream, jaws wide open, about to snatch a salmon jumping upstream. The headline reads, "You probably feel like the bear." Then underneath, in smaller print, "We'd like to suggest you're the salmon." That right there? That's the delusion of success in a nutshell. We all think we're the bear. We overestimate our contributions, claim credit for wins that aren't entirely ours, and rate ourselves way higher than our colleagues do. Success is funny that way. It's the ultimate positive feedback loop. When you're winning, everything reinforces the message. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Your salary, your title, the respect from others, it all screams validation. This creates what Goldsmith calls the success delusion, built on 4 beliefs that help us succeed and then trap us. First belief, I have succeeded. This is our personal highlight reel. We edit out the failures, replay the wins on loop, and tell ourselves constantly, I've succeeded, I've succeeded, I've succeeded. It gives us the confidence to tackle each day. Marshall talked to a baseball player who said when facing a pitcher he'd hit well before, he'd think, I own this guy. But what about pitchers who owned him? Same thing. I still think I can hit this guy. Successful people never see the glass as half empty. Second belief, I can succeed. This is about believing you control your destiny through talent, will, and intelligence. You're the driver, not a passenger. But here's the trap. We assume, I'm successful. I behave this way. Therefore, I'm successful because I behave this way. See the problem? Third belief, I will succeed. This is that unshakable optimism that pushes us forward. We believe success is practically inevitable. But this morphs into excessive optimism, leading to the biggest enemy of change, overcommitment. Marshall's clients aren't drowning in problems. They're drowning in a sea of opportunity. When they don't implement changes, the excuse is always, I meant to, but I just didn't have time. Fourth belief, I choose to succeed. Successful people believe they're doing what they do by choice. When we do what we choose, we're committed. When we do what we have to, we're just compliant. But this makes admitting we chose the wrong path incredibly difficult. These four beliefs create something unexpected. They make us superstitious. Now wait. Before you protest that you don't worry about black cats or broken mirrors, hear me out. This is a different kind of superstition. It's mistakenly believing a specific behavior causes our success when really it just happened alongside it. Goldsmith calls this the superstition trap. He tells the story of Harry, a brilliant executive who always delivered results. Everyone agreed he'd turned his organization around. But Harry had one glaring flaw. He was terrible at listening. When Marshall pointed this out, Harry defended himself. He argued his poor listening was actually a source of his success. I hate cluttering my mind with bad ideas, he said, almost proudly. I don't suffer fools gladly. This is the superstition trap in action. Harry confused success he achieved because of his brilliance with success he achieved in spite of his rudeness. Marshall's biggest challenge? Helping people see the difference between behaviors that drive success and behaviors that just come along for the ride. Which brings us to the heart of the book. What are these in spite of behaviors? Marshall identified 20 of them. 20 habits that hold successful people back. As we explore some of them, you might recognize a few in others. You might even spot a couple in yourself. The good news? They're not deep psychological wounds. They're simple, fixable behaviors. Peter Drucker once told Marshall, "We spend lots of time teaching leaders what to do. We don't spend enough time teaching them what to stop." So let's look at what we need to stop. The number one most common problem? Habit 1. Winning too much. This is needing to win at all costs, in all situations, when it matters, when it doesn't, and when it's completely beside the point. This habit fuels almost all the others. If we argue endlessly, it's because we want our view to win. If we put people down, it's to position them below us. It's all about winning. Marshall watched a father play one-on-one basketball with his 9-year-old son at a party. The dad had a 2-foot height advantage and decades of experience. It started fun, with Dad letting the kid score. But about 10 minutes in, something shifted. The father's gotta win gene kicked in. He started serious defense, trash-talking, and genuinely enjoyed crushing his son 11-2. We shake our heads at that, but are we so different? Imagine you want restaurant X for dinner. Your partner wants restaurant Y. You argue but give in to Y, and it's awful. Slow service, bad food. You have two options. Option A, spend the whole dinner smugly pointing out how right you were. Option B, shut up. Enjoy your partner's company and make the best of it. When Marshall polls executives, 75% admit they'd choose option A. Yet when asked what they should do, they all agree. Option B, the relationship matters more than winning a trivial argument. Still, the urge to win overpowers common sense. This flows right into habit 2, adding too much value. This is the overwhelming desire to add your 2 cents to every discussion. Marshall was at dinner with consultant John Katzenbach and his brilliant protege, Nico. Every time Nico shared an idea, John interrupted. "That's great," he'd say, "but it would work better if you," and he'd tweak it. He meant to help. But here's the problem. You might improve an idea's content by 5%, while reducing the other person's commitment to execute it by 50%. Why? Because it's no longer their idea. It's yours. You've stolen their ownership. The higher you climb as a leader, the more you need to make other people winners, not yourself. Then there's the cousin of adding value. Habit 6. Telling the world how smart we are. This is our need to prove we're at least everyone's intellectual equal, if not superior. A friend of Marshall's interviewed with a psychology professor writing a book on Mozart. The professor bragged he'd read everything about Mozart and challenged the young man to quiz him. The young man, who happened to love classical music, finally asked, "Okay, name 13 Mozart operas." The professor could only name 9. Awkward. The lesson? Being smart attracts people. Announcing how smart you are repels them. Many of these habits are about what we say, but some of the most damaging are about how we say it. Take habit 5, starting with no, but, or however. No matter how friendly your tone, when you lead with these words, you're sending one message: you are wrong. It's a subtle power play that immediately puts people on defense, turning conversation into competition. Marshall once coached a COO with this habit so badly that he started charging him $20 every time he said no, but, or however. Within an hour, the COO owed him $420. The financial pain quickly taught him to stop trying to win every tiny point. Another destructive habit? Habit 4. Making destructive comments. These are the needless sarcasms and cutting remarks we think make us sound sharp and witty. Marshall admits this was his own biggest challenge. He didn't make nasty comments to people's faces. He did it when they weren't around. So he made a deal with his staff. "If you hear me make a destructive comment about another person, I'll pay you $10. His staff started baiting him just to collect the money. By noon on day 1, he was down $50, but eventually the pain worked. He broke the habit. The problem with destructive comments isn't whether they're true. The real question is it worth it? What about the things we don't do? One of the most common complaints is habit 16, not listening. It's the most passive-aggressive form of disrespect. When you don't listen, you're broadcasting multiple negative messages. I don't care about you. You're boring. You're wasting my time. Marshall worked with a research organization where senior managers had a terrible habit during presentations by junior scientists. They'd look at their watches and impatiently repeat, "Next slide. Next slide." Any wonder their best young talent kept leaving? Closely related are habit 17, failing to express gratitude, and habit 15, refusing to express regret. Marshall believes the two sweetest words in English aren't someone's name, but simply, "thank you." Gratitude creates closure. It's impossible to argue with. Same with saying, "I'm sorry." We resist apologizing because we think it's weakness, losing a contest. But actually, it's the opposite. An apology is strength. It erases the past and lets everyone move forward. Now, all these habits are problematic. But Goldsmith saves special attention for what he calls the 21st habit, because it's not something you do to someone. It's the root cause of all the others. He calls it goal obsession. This is the force that takes over when we get so wrapped up in achieving a goal that we sacrifice a larger, more important mission. Think of Colonel Nicholson in the classic film The Bridge on the River Kwai. He's a British POW in World War II, forced by Japanese captors to build a bridge. Being a man of integrity and dedication, he doesn't just build a bridge, he builds a magnificent one. he becomes obsessed with creating the perfect bridge. So obsessed that at the film's end, he finds himself defending his beautiful bridge against his own side, the Allied soldiers who've come to destroy it. In his final moments, realizing what he's done, he utters the famous line, "What have I done?" He was so focused on his goal, build the bridge, that he completely forgot the larger mission, win the war. This happens to us constantly, though usually less dramatically. We become obsessed with making money to support our family, but work so much we neglect the very family we're supporting. Perhaps the most chilling example of goal obsession comes from a Princeton study. Theology students were told to cross campus to deliver a sermon about the Good Samaritan. Some were told they were late and needed to hurry. On their path, researchers placed an actor pretending to be a victim, coughing and suffering on the ground. The study found that seminary students in a hurry, obsessed with reaching their sermon on time, literally stepped over the suffering person on their way to give a talk about helping a suffering person. Goal obsession transforms us into people we don't want to be. It makes us rude, dismissive, self-absorbed. It's the engine driving all 20 other habits. So if these are the problems, these deeply ingrained habits fueled by past success, what's the solution? This is where Marshall Goldsmith's work becomes truly transformative. He offers a 7-step method for changing not just your behavior, but how others perceive you. And it starts with one of the hardest things for a successful person to do. Step 1 is feedback. You need to discover what people really think, but you can't just ask, "What do you think of me?" That invites flattery or fear. There's only one question that works. How can I do better? This question is brilliant because it's not about the past. It's about the future. It's not a critique. It's a request for help. Once you've heard the truth, you move to step 2, apologizing. This is what Marshall calls the magic move. You go to people you work with, people whose opinions matter, and you say 2 simple things. "I'm sorry, and I'll try to do better." That's it. No explanations, no justifications, no excuses. An apology isn't a negotiation. It's a cleansing ritual that lets everyone release the past. Marshall tells a powerful story about a client named Beth, the highest-ranking woman at a Fortune 100 company. Her peers couldn't stand her, especially a division chief named Harvey. They were in perpetual turf war, bringing out her mean, vindictive side. The first thing Marshall had her do was apologize to Harvey. She bristled at the idea, but she did it. She walked into his office and said, "Harvey, I've been disrespectful to you. Please, accept my apologies. There's no excuse for this behavior." Before she could finish, Harvey cut her off. She looked up expecting a fight, but saw tears in his eyes. He said, "You know, Beth, it's not just you. It's me, too. We can get better together." That's the magic of an apology. It transforms adversaries into allies. Step 3 is advertising. After apologizing, you have to tell the world what you're trying to change. This is critical because of cognitive dissonance. People see you through their existing stereotypes. If they think you're arrogant, they'll interpret everything through that lens. The only way to break that pattern is announcing your intentions. You have to say, "I'm trying to become a better listener." Suddenly, your efforts are on their radar. You have to advertise relentlessly, like a political campaign, until the message sinks in. Step 4 is listening. Not just passively hearing words, but active listening. This means 3 things. Think before you speak. Listen with respect. Make the other person feel like they're the only one in the room. And most importantly, before responding to anything, ask yourself one crucial question. Is it worth it? Marshall had a client, a COO, who became CEO, who said the biggest thing he learned was this practice. Before speaking, I take a breath and ask myself, is it worth it? I realized at least half of what I was going to say wasn't worth saying. Step 5 is thanking. Gratitude is the ultimate closure tool. When someone gives you feedback or a suggestion, even if you think it's ridiculous, your default response should always be, thank you. It costs nothing and keeps communication lines open. Step 6 is following up. This, Marshall says, is the secret sauce. You don't get better without follow-up. This separates real commitment from just another program of the month. You have to go back to colleagues every month or so and ask that famous question from New York Mayor Ed Koch, how am I doing? Marshall discovered this through a massive study involving 86,000 people across 8 major corporations. The results were undeniable. Leaders who did little or no follow-up showed little or no improvement. Leaders who consistently followed up showed dramatic jumps in their perceived effectiveness. Follow-up shows you care, shows you value their opinion, and forces you to keep trying. Finally, this leads to step 7, practicing feed-forward. If feedback is about the past, feed-forward is about the future. It's a simple, powerful exercise. You go to anyone, a colleague, friend, even a stranger, and do 4 things. 1. State the one behavior you want to change. I want to be a better listener. 2. Ask them for 2 suggestions for the future that might help you. No talk of the past allowed. 3. Listen attentively to their ideas. 4. The only thing you're allowed to say in response is, thank you. That's it. No judgment, no critique, no debate. Just pure exchange of ideas for the future. It's like a race car driver being told, look at the road, not the wall. Feed forward helps you focus on the road ahead. There's an old Buddhist parable about 2 monks walking back to their monastery. They come to a stream where a young woman in a beautiful bridal gown is crying. She needs to cross to get to her wedding but fears ruining her dress. These monks are forbidden from touching women. But the first monk, filled with compassion, hoists her onto his shoulders, carries her across, and sets her down safely on the other side. The second monk is furious. For the entire walk back, he scolds the first monk. How could you do that? You broke our sacred vows. The first monk says nothing. That night, the second monk can't sleep. He wakes the first monk and starts yelling again. How could you carry that woman? The first monk looks at him, smiles, and says, oh, her? I left her at the stream. You're the one who's been carrying her all this time. When it comes to our past mistakes, flaws, and regrets, we have to learn to leave them at the stream. Apologize for them, learn from them, but don't carry them. Because what got you here won't get you there. As we reach the end of our journey through what got you here won't get you there, I find myself reflecting on the quiet humility at the heart of this book. In a world celebrating achievement, ambition, and relentless pursuit of more, Marshall Goldsmith offers a radical counter-narrative. He suggests the path forward isn't paved with more skills, more knowledge, or more effort. It's paved with the courage to let go. The most powerful lesson, for me, isn't about what to do. It's about what to stop. It's the idea that improvement is often subtraction, not addition. Stop winning too much. Stop adding value. Stop making destructive comments. Stop needing to be the smartest person in the room. Stop passing judgment. Think about how liberating that is. You don't need to learn a complex new system. You just need to stop doing something that's probably draining your energy anyway. Success builds a fortress around our ego. The more we win, the more we believe we have all the answers. We become insulated from truth. Goldsmith's work is a gentle but firm wrecking ball to that fortress. It reminds us that no matter how high we climb, We're still human. We still have blind spots. And the only way to see them is having the humility to ask for help and the grace to accept it. The real genius of this book, it's not just about business. It's about life. The habits holding us back in the boardroom create friction at home, with partners, children, and friends. Who among us hasn't felt the need to win an argument with a loved one, even knowing it'll cost us something far more valuable? Who hasn't failed to say thank you or I'm sorry when it mattered most? So how can you start applying these lessons today? Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. I want you to try something simple. First, pick just one behavior from our discussion that resonated with you. Just one. Maybe it's the tendency to start sentences with but. Maybe it's not fully listening when someone's talking. Don't try fixing everything at once. Pick one thing. Second, go to one person you trust, a friend, family member, respected colleague, and ask the two magic questions. Start by saying, I'm trying to get better at your chosen behavior. Then ask, what are one or two simple ideas you have for me for the future? And then, the hardest part, when they give you their ideas, whatever they are, your only job is to listen. Don't argue. Don't defend yourself. Don't explain why their idea might not work. Just breathe, listen, and when they're done, say the two most powerful words in this entire process. Thank you. That's it. That one small act of humility is the beginning of every great change. The book closes with a beautiful thought experiment, and I'd like to leave you with it. Imagine you're 95 years old, on your deathbed. You're given a gift, the chance to go back in time and give one piece of advice to the person you are right now. What would that wise old version of you say? What really mattered in the end? Was it winning that argument? Was it proving you were right? Or was it something else? Whatever that advice is, that's your there. That's your destination. And the journey begins right now. That was a summary of What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. We've journeyed through the core of this incredible book today, exploring the paradoxes of success and the simple habits that can unlock our next level. But a map isn't the territory. A summary can show you the path, but it can't replace the feeling of walking it yourself. The real magic happens in the quiet moments of reading, when a particular story or simple phrase connects with your own life in unexpected ways. If anything we've talked about today has sparked a flicker of recognition in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see yourself and the world. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if this conversation has added some value to your day, the greatest thank you can give is hitting that subscribe button and sharing this with someone who might need to hear it. Here we believe great ideas are meant to be shared, and by growing together, we all get a little closer to where we want to be. Let's keep learning, and let's keep growing together.